I'm gonna be honest. We need to have less noise and more honesty. Now, most people, I feel like, don't even know what they honestly think anymore because their mind is like so full of noise. Like, I feel like we consume so much random content, opinions, drama, trends, negativity, what your friends say, what your family says, and other people's desires that our real voice 9 times out of 10 gets buried. And I feel like the goal is like you gotta detach from the noise so you can reconnect with your honest self. And I feel like people forget this matters so much because if you're not careful, the world can start to choose your thoughts, your goals, your fears, your taste, your confidence, and even your direction for your life. Your life, not anybody else's life, your life. That's why I can't stress enough that you have to remove all the noise out of your life. People are running on the same altitude. Everybody's running on the same speed, same memes, same phone, same music, everything. And it's just like, bro, you gotta disconnect from that. Like, genuinely, you have to disconnect from that. You cannot be in the same frequencies as everyone else because you're gonna start thinking the same things as everybody else. But you know, you think it's you, but it's just what you've been consuming. You know what I'm saying? So I can give you a story. Like the worst points of my life so far. I'm only 20. I turned 20 this week. So I'm basically in 20, right? The worst points in my life were honestly when I was consuming the most and I was around people the most and just letting my subconscious mind get filled with everything that is around me and everybody that was around me and everything of that nature. And it sucked because it was just so like I didn't feel like myself. I was stuck in like somebody else's body. I was it was like I couldn't hear myself anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like I was constantly scrolling on Instagram, constantly scrolling on watching YouTube videos, constantly around people doing like around people who do all types of things, and it's like you constantly have to like it feels like your character's constantly getting tested. My dog's over there, but it feels like your character's constantly getting tested, and it's just like at some point you gotta decide, bro. Like you cannot continuously put yourself in places where your character's gonna be tested. Like you at some point you gotta be like, yo, there should be set times for when your character is tested and your values are tested. Not every single time you go out with somebody that you perceive as your friends that you should like that your character should be tested all times. You know what I'm saying? I was around people who were just consuming so much and everything. Like there's my friend group, and one thing we did was we had like a group chat where we just send memes, and it was just the stupidest memes. My humor was so bad. It still is bad. Like I find bullshit funny, but there was a point where like my humor was just so random, and it was just so negative. We were talking about the states of the world, the news, these people own the media, all these things that like it's just more noise pollution. It's just like, yo, everybody's on this loud frequency of a speaker, but like nobody has their own frequency anymore. Like everybody's worried about these things. Everybody's worried about these things. Like when you operate from a place of worry, you're always gonna stay worried and stressed. If you operate from a place of brokenness, you're always going to be broke. You have to feel success on the internal before you feel success on the external. I feel like people forget that. But things changed over about like a month ago. Like I decided to cut everything out of my system that just I didn't want to be around or didn't want to be let take over me. And at first, it was the hardest thing ever. I could like, bro, it was the hardest thing ever, bro. Like I'm telling you, when you cut out all the negative vices, like you're doom scrolling, masturbation, all these negative things, and say at first, and it's not. I'm better than nobody, bro. I'm telling you how as it is. You cut out all these things slowly, one by one by one by one, and you like go cold turkey on everything, and it's just like hell. It's literally hell on earth at first, bro. Like you try and like tame your head, and your head is just thinking of the most negative shit to mess with you, and it's just disgusting. It's like I would never think of this. I would never do this, but your head still does it, and that's just your head. That's just how the mind works. The mind is a crazy thing. You have to tame your mind. When negative thoughts come up, you have to tune it out. It's a muscle. The mind is a muscle. Everything that in your body, just like how you train your body to grow your muscles, right? Your mind is a muscle. You have to train your mind. Otherwise, your mind will train you, and you're not going to be who you want to be anymore. So, as I was saying, I started removing the noise, less scrolling. I deleted all social medias. I didn't want nothing to do with social media. I didn't make a new YouTube account, like besides the one I'm posting on right now, but like I just removed every single thing. Like if there was a video that like talking about some news story on that was happening, I clicked not interested. I wasn't interested. Like I found like new people. Like I was watching this video by Bob Proctor, and I forgot the man that he was inspired by, that he listened to every single day. And it's like I started listening to that, and it's just like, yo, the shit in there, bro. You could put your mind to anything if you just remove the noise, bro. I started reconnecting with the higher powers, with God and everything, bro. It was just like, yo, I feel happy. I felt the happiest I felt in a long time since I was a kid, for a long period of time. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been consistently at a peace and happiness Zen state for about a week and 2 weeks now. You know what I'm saying? So I'm telling you, this shit works. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm taking y'all on the journey with me with these videos I talk about. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just trying to inspire and make people happy. You know, as I work on my album and work on my further music and endeavors and stuff. I take the time out of my day to inspire people, because that's what I love doing, inspiring. If I can inspire a million or a billion kids before I die, that's the best thing in the world. But anyways, I started reading more, more walking, more stillness, meditation, just letting everything just flow. You observe your thoughts and you just don't react to it. You can't react. You cannot react. Because if you react, then your body says, oh, this is a problem. I got to keep doing it. You can't do that. No, 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 no. You have to sit there, and I know it's uncomfortable. It hurts. I know. You have to sit still. You can't avoid your problems forever. You have to sit and you have to analyze them, and you have to integrate them. You have to accept and say, this happened, but this is not who we are. And we don't have to let it be something we are if we don't want it to be. We can just keep going. And it's the hardest thing ever, but that shadow work, once you remove the noise, is going to be one of the best things you ever do. I promise you. I can promise you with 100% certainty. One of the best things you can ever do is do the shadow work. Fight your shadow. Integrate your shadow. Don't let it bother you. Don't let it knock down who you want to be. You can be whatever you put your mind to. And people forget that. We were never taught how to control our minds and control our thoughts and perceptions. People just say, oh, do this, oh, do this, you go to school, do this. And I'm in college right now, technically, you know what I'm saying? But not for long, right? I'm focused on my things, right? People don't understand that, bro. You got to be focused on these things, bro. You know? But once I removed all the things and I kept creating more stillness, more scrolling, like less scrolling, more walking, more reading, more stillness, and most importantly, I created more. A lot of thoughts were coming to me. A lot of ideas that I haven't had in a while were coming to me. The most creative ideas I've ever had. Once I stopped thinking I was broke and started thinking I was rich, I started thinking of ideas to make money. I started thinking of ideas to make a better album than I did before. How I can change the world one step at a time. And that's the coolest thing ever, you know? You know what I'm saying? That's the greatest thing ever. A good example of a book that speaks about this is A Brave New World, and the scary part of that world is like people aren't controlled by their fears. They're controlled by comfort, pleasures, distractions, and stimulation. And that's unfortunately where we're at right now in our world. And that kind of sucks. You know, control sometimes doesn't feel like control. It feels like, just one more video. I'm just scrolling, you know what I'm saying? Just for a little bit, 15 minutes, 10 minutes. Always needing stimulation, always needing entertainment. You can't sit with yourself for a little while. And when you're always stimulated, you don't realize you're being pulled away from the voice of a higher power, of God, of anything, of what you want. And that's why less noise matters in the long run, because you don't realize you're being pulled away from your own voice. So if we disconnect, we can allow ourselves to return to who we are internally and externally. And if you disconnect, you can finally realize which voice is actually yours and what thoughts you want to entertain. And I feel like the simplest way I can explain this is like, y'all know how, like, when y'all clean y'all rooms, right? Like, you feel better immediately after. Like, the dopamine hits in, like that dopamine of delayed gratification. Your mind works the same way. Once you declutter the noise out of your mind, you can actually start to hear yourself and what you want in your life again. And I feel like that's the coolest thing ever, because if you make it so easy for you to succeed and make it so hard for you to fail, you can live a great and happy life. Like, less noise doesn't really mean like being silent for the rest of your life. It means like you just choose consciously what you enter your mind. We've been trained to just let everything enter our minds, and it's just we got to stop doing that, and we have to consciously choose what we allow into our subconscious, because our subconscious accepts anything we put into its reality, anything we want, and at the same time anything somebody else may want. If you allow your subconscious to be open, they can put that into your mind. And so you have to constantly reject what you don't want in your subconscious, and only keep what you accept. If you accept all positive and no negative, you can only be positive as a person. No matter what adversity comes to you, you can only be positive and respond in a positive way. If you reject the concept of loss, you can never lose. You can always learn and know that every single loss or lesson is going to come back with a greater comeback and win. It's really simple. You have to use social media intentionally. You have to consume so much less that all you hear is your head and the thoughts that you want to hear. Purify your thoughts as best as you possibly can, and tune out the ones that are negative. Create more, walking more, reading more, sitting with yourself more, and not letting the world program without your permission. I feel like people don't understand that. Like, they just allow themselves just to let everything into their mind, and it sucks, because you see people who were such good people. I've seen some good people get programmed by the environments around them, and it's like, damn, bro, like, you inspired me. Now you like this. It's like, shit. Like, damn, you know what I'm saying? Like, it sucks. You know what I'm saying? It sucks to see good people feel like they're wasting their potential, and their friends that I hope get themselves back, because I feel like they lost themselves to an extent to try and fit in more. And it's like, you should never fit in, bro. You should never fit in. Fitting in is boring. Fitting in is lame. We shouldn't fit in. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I mean with my branding with detach. You know, DTCH, detach. And that's what I've always meant by the phrase detach to reconnect. I'm sorry. You're not detaching to become cold or empty, or letting your circumstances make you this cold person, overly calculated person. You can still choose to be a good person. You can still choose to make higher faculty decisions that can still help people. You don't have to be an asshole. You don't have to be a bad person. You just don't let your circumstances define you. You know, you don't let your circumstances define you. You detach from the noise so you can reconnect with your honest self and who you want to be, and be a good person. Be a good person, bro. Be happy. Be happy. Be zen, bro. Be zen. Be with the fucking higher powers, bro. Be zen. You know what I'm saying? You need to reconnect with your own speaker instead of tuning into the same loud frequencies the world follows. You know? If you can't find your own speakers and you just tune into the same ones that everybody else uses, you're going to be doing just like everybody else. And you don't want to do that, right? There's going to be like 30K people who see this video maybe. And only 5% of that 30K is going to see this video. It's going to take what I'm saying and actually apply it to their lives. You know? And that sucks. But the 5% that do listen, I really hope you the best on your journey into rebuilding yourself and who you want to be. Because remember, you can reject anything you want to reject. You don't have to accept what people tell you about yourself. You don't have to accept all these things. Before I go, like, I really want to emphasize that before I go, like, you don't have to accept what people have labeled you in your past. You could drop off all your past and learn the lessons from those areas, and still choose a better and higher path that leads to where you want to be. Because if you have a goal, a focus in life, a purpose, you're doing better than fucking 95% of the population, bro. A lot of niggas don't have a purpose. They just follow whatever does the best. You know, most niggas in college, that are studying, are just doing it just to make them whatever makes them the most money. They don't even know what they really want to do. I've known what I wanted to do since I was 12. Fucking 12, bro. I was 12, and I'm just not doing it at 20. But I'm still doing it. I'm still a lot earlier than a lot of people. So it's like I don't feel nothing. I don't feel like I'm behind. I used to when I see people younger than me successful. But once you remove yourself from the noise and the ego, you just become this zen of chance and opportunity. And I'm telling you, ever since I got myself together and I'm still working on it every day, more and more opportunity has been brought to my life, and I'm blessed beyond imagine. So I'm telling y'all, before I go, I love y'all. Remove yourself from all loud frequencies that aren't what you want to be and reconnect to your own speakers. I love y'all. Stay safe. Bye.